back to the show today. We are talking about dynasties in the NBA. Dynasties just meaning a team that wins multiple championships in a short period of time. What are the impacts of having a dynasty in your league or association? Is it a positive thing to have a team that annually creams the competition? I find it pretty interesting that most sports fans say that they don't like dynasties. They don't like it when the same team wins every year. I hear people describe it as boring or predictable. But the irony is, they don't believe that. In every sports league where there's a championship with a returning champion, the TV ratings always go up. And I know TV ratings aren't accurate, given how many people watch the streams and on international and all that, yeah. But I'm comparing TV ratings against other TV ratings from the years immediately after and the year immediately before. So are TV ratings actually an indicator of how many people watched a game? No, not at all. Everybody knows that. But if we compare TV ratings year to year, we can get a pretty clear indication if viewership is going up or down. So what's the most watched telecasted sporting event of all time? It was last year's Super Bowl where the Chiefs played the 49ers. Literally the same Super Bowl we had 4 years prior. Same coaches and a lot of the same players too. Also, the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl the year before playing the Eagles. Chiefs won all those Super Bowls, by the way. So when people say they don't like it when the same team wins every year, they're really saying I hate the Chiefs and I'd really like to watch them lose. That sounds like a great way to spend a Sunday night in February to me. So people hate watch things all the time. It's normal, it's some type of negative buzz, a weird thrill that has to be ultimately a negative effect on your mental health, right? But either way, people hate watch LeBron James religiously. So let's talk about when LeBron James probably had his best opportunity to start a dynasty. This was when he joined the Miami Heat from 2010 to 2014. Because the only thing worse than a dynasty is someone trying to force a dynasty, which of course is what the Miami Heat were trying to do.
Not one championship.
Not two.
LeBron, tell us about that.
Not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven. Hey. And when I say that, I really believe it.
So as far as I remember, there wasn't a universal hatred toward LeBron James before 2010. There really wasn't any reason to not like him. Obviously, he was renowned as a child prodigy since he was 16. Someone getting that much praise, people are obviously going to be jealous of them. But for the most part, he delivered on the expectations. He'd made the finals, he'd already won 2 MVPs. The only people that were really hating on LeBron James were Jordan riders, because they were afraid of LeBron James usurping Jordan's power in basketball. But when he left Cleveland and went to Miami, it gave everyone carte blanche to make a villain out of him in their own mind. He left his home, where he was a hero, to join up with 2 other star players in a hotter city. And not only that, he did a press conference to announce his bad news for Cleveland.
The answer to the question everybody wants to know. LeBron, what's your decision?
In this fall, man, it's very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Like it or not, this made the NBA more interesting. TV ratings went up, and they were already up from the previous year. LeBron, Bosh, and Wade teaming up created a supervillain, when the league already had a reigning dynasty with Kobe Bryant's Lakers, who were coming off a back-to-back championship, and a dynasty of their own, really. I think people were excited that they were going to finally get a LeBron-Kobe finals. You had a guy that was a 5-time champion with a pretty divisive history himself, going against the guy who had left his hometown to bet on a sure thing. Unfortunately, we never got that finals. But Miami's big 3 for those 4 years did increase the ratings of the NBA. They made the finals every year and they won the championship twice. People wanted to watch them lose. You probably did. I remember during the last finals, the 2014 finals, where the Heat were trying to three-peat and the Spurs were trying to extend the dynasty of their own with a 5th championship in a 15-year span of time. Anyway, I remember seeing a billboard that said built versus bought, saying that the Spurs had built their team while the Heat had just bought a bunch of free agents and paid them to play for them, as if there's some sort of virtue in having your stars coming up through your own system. And built did beat bought. Good prevailed over evil, I guess. The Spurs beat the Heat in 5 games in 2014, and sports fans loved it, and they watched it. So my point being, when it comes to sports, people enjoy what they claim to hate, and anything that they claim to want or appreciate, they do find boring. I think as sports fans, we love hating a team or a player as much as we love loving a team or a player. Probably more. Or as Bill Simmons calls it, sports hating a team. If you feel like you're developing real animosity toward an athlete, you should do some introspection. It's definitely normal, but it's definitely not healthy. But sports hating is fun. It's a pleasure. As soon as your team is eliminated from championship contention, you may continue to watch the sports league to root against the team that you hate. My grandpa's 2 favorite teams in baseball were the Pittsburgh Pirates and whoever was playing the Yankees that week. For a sports league, having a bunch of angry fans is actually good. It means your fans are emotionally invested. I'm sure you've all heard the expression, the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. And when there are new teams and new faces in the NBA Finals every year, it's hard to get new fans invested or care. Because when we talk about raising viewership and raising ratings, we're talking about casual fans. If you're watching NBA YouTubers and you're watching NBA content creators, you're the type of person that's gonna watch the finals regardless of who's in it. But if a sports league wants to go beyond being a niche interest and actually enter American pop culture, they're gonna have to get your mother and maybe even your grandmother interested in it. My mom this year, who's an NFL fan, watched the World Series for the first time since I can remember. She watched it because she likes Shohei Ohtani, and she knows his story. During the 90s, my grandmother loved the Bulls. I'm not playing, she was a Horace Grant stan. We're human beings, we love to follow a story. We need characters to invest in. So I think right now, the NBA is in a cultural rebuilding phase. I think the NBA milked the stardom of LeBron James, Steph Curry, and KD for too long. The NBA needs a new dynasty, a new face of evil. They need a new Darth Vader or Anakin Skywalker to then turn into Darth Vader, or Paul Atreides or Jesus Christ. Hopefully you understand at least one of those references. So let's talk about the Messiah turned Antichrist archetype in sports. It exists in every aspect of storytelling. So regardless of how beloved an athlete is at any point in time, we're gonna find a reason to blame them for all of the world's suffering. LeBron's ceremonious departure from Ohio provided a very nice inciting incident for sports fans to turn on. And in the same vein, Kevin Durant's turned to the dark side as well. 2016 was a very clear line in the sand when he joined the Warriors, the team that had just beat his OKC Thunder in the Western Conference Finals only a month before. After being with the OKC Thunder for 9 years, he joins the Warriors because he admired their system. I bet he admired their system. They were just coming off the best regular season of all time. I always admired this quote from KD on Bill Simmons' podcast.
If I was a fan of that team and I was in their shoes, I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But what makes it even sweeter is that I think at some point in your career, if you're like considered one of the best, you should be loved and you should want to feel loved and hated. And I felt that, you know what I'm saying? That was I wanted to see what both sides felt like.
I think KD was self-aware that becoming a villain was inevitable. So he could either do it on his own terms or wait until it just happened to him. He could have ended up in a Dame situation where he signs a giant contract and then the team ends up rebuilding. He's in a position where he has to demand a trade or just sit the rest of his prime out on a team that's rebuilding and has no shot. Sort of like what happened to Kobe. So KD made his decision and it completely changed his public perception. He was seen as a guy that was a snake or a bus rider.
That's the way this thing works. Before KD gets that great respect from all the old heads, he's gonna have to win a championship as a guy, as a bus driver.
So I think the perception of KD right now is as one of the greatest players of all time and as a champion, but not a champion in the context that we thought he could be, as a bus driver, if you will. I've talked about this before, but the NBA needs a new face. We all know it. They need a face for casual fans to connect the game of basketball with. LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant can't be the guys anymore. They're not gonna win any more championships, and if they do win one more championship, they're not winning two. I'll eat my hat if they do. The NBA needs a new face to love then hate. The league needs a Conor McGregor, an Alex Rodriguez, a Tom Brady, a new LeBron. And ideally, as an NBA fan community, we want Magic Bird, we want Kobe Duncan, we want Steph and LeBron. I feel like the natural progression of these dueling superstar dynamics is Jokic and Giannis. Both guys have perennially been MVPs and are always MVP candidates. Both guys have won a single championship. And the best part is they play in different conferences. We gotta get a finals with these guys. But I'm worried that the Boston Celtics are gonna get in the way of this. And the problem with the Celtics is they are a team of many faces. I like a lot of the guys on that Celtics team, and that's kind of the problem. The team has no one defining personality on it, which I admit I do like. I think an egalitarian environment is actually pretty refreshing in a society that craves a single human personification of an ideology, but that's just the thing. If you want to grow the game, you need a single name and a single face, and then other names and faces to sort of exist in its orbit. That's just how American culture works. So the Celtics are pretty good, and I don't think it's crazy to assume that they might be at the beginning of a multi-year dynasty. So my question to you is, do you think the Boston Celtics, the team they have now, can have a cultural impact that is as powerful as the Warriors, the Lakers, the Spurs, or even the Bulls? Alright, thank you for being here. This was a recommendation. Leave me more recommendations. I reply to them all, and sometimes I even make the video about them. So like the video. Thank you for liking the video. This channel's growing. I really appreciate it. I enjoy making these videos. So they actually make a little money now. So be good to your mothers. Eat a corn dog. I don't think I forgot anything. So bye.